Hello, my friends. Welcome back to this channel and to our mini series about the contemplative prayer. And today and next time, we want to dive into the phases of crisis on the path. And of course, this belongs to it because every time when we, let's say, make a leap up to a higher level of consciousness, there will be a period of crisis. And this will not only take a few days or weeks, but months or even years. So it's good to be informed about it. And if we ask the mystics, they all have described these phases of intense darkness on their path, in which they felt very alone, very sad, full of grief, and even abandoned by God. It was the Spanish mystic Saint John of the Cross of the 16th century who coined this wording, dark night of the soul. And he differentiated between two of those nights: the dark night of the senses, which we will discuss today, and the dark night of the spirit, which will be discussed next time. So, what is this dark night of the senses about? As I said before, it is a spiritual crisis which will begin with a certain feeling of dryness in prayer. So perhaps you have been committed to contemplative prayer or whatever practice you follow for quite a while, when all of a sudden the joy in it seems to be gone. So perhaps if you read your holy book, the Bible, it is like reading a telephone book. Very dry, even boring, nothing coming out of it anymore, and especially no positive experiences, no bliss, no joy, nothing. Grace seems to be absent. This is the beginning. And slowly but surely, the seeker will get to recognize that nothing can really satisfy him anymore. No external source. Nothing. The only one who could satisfy his longing is God, but God seems to be absent. He prays against a wall. And it's very hard to stand this, and brings about a lot of sadness and grief, the feelings of loneliness and abandonment. So what will happen at that time is that the seeker has to let go of his or her identity, security systems, and much of her or his old beliefs. And when those dissolve, there will be a lot of anxiety surface, which is again very hard to stand. It's really a rough ride, and it, as I said, does not take weeks. It takes months or even years. So questions arise like, who am I? What is my purpose? Am I going crazy? Who gets me? And you will see that there is literally no one who understands this process. And you will have to, let's say, search for people who have gone through it themselves and who can resonate to the whole experience, but there are only few, or at least few talk about it. So the feeling of being lost and alone is really, let's say, everywhere in your mind. And this is very hard to stand, I assure you. So this first dark night, for me, it took like 3 years and it was a very rough ride. I really have to say this. But the second night was even longer. But what I can promise you is that God is in it. He purges you and burns away much of your false self and reduces your ego needs dramatically, which can, of course, take a long time. And mostly there will be even losses on the outside of life too. Perhaps you lose your health, your spouse, money, or your job, or whatever it is, which brings about even more pain. And prayer is not helping. No one understands you. Things will be lost. People will be lost. Perhaps you can imagine how hard that is to go through this experience. But in a way, there is only, let's say, one solution to it, which is pure faith alone, trusting in God that He is there even though you don't experience Him. And so no one can tell you how long it will last, but at some point the night will lighten up. A new dawn will arise, and you will come out of this night with a deepened faith, much more compassion towards others going through their misery, and much more love for everyone and everything, so to speak. So, of course, such a deepening takes time, but you will learn to stand on the razor's edge and live from a place of pure faith alone. This is no small thing. So what are the fruits of such a dark night? It's, with the words of Father Thomas Keating, like going from mother's milk to a more nourishing food, which we could call the dry bread of faith. But of course, this new food will let you grow in a faster way. And there is much more which you will gain from such a spiritual crisis. Our false needs will be healed. Our egoic conditioning and programs will be reduced, like the need for security, affection, and control or power, which leads to a deeper experience of inner freedom. We also get humbled. We are just one part of the human family, not better or worse than anyone else. Also, our conditioning and over-identification with our social group or even groups will be reduced. So in a way, we are born again into ourselves or into the image which God has put into us when He created us. The whole process also activates the unconscious in us. There will be bliss and joy coming up when you have gone through the process, but also intense energies which, let's say, remove psychological blocks on the inside, but bring about, let's say, quite some pain and perhaps even despair. Also, our intuition sharpens in a radical way because we can start to, let's say, make life decisions more from our heart and following our intuition than with our brain. And this is a reward in itself. Another thing is that we get rid of our false images of God. We understand that He's not this, let's say, kind old man with a long white beard or black beard or whatever you imagine, but He's nothing like what we have imagined Him to be. We have to let go all of these images and really become nothing, as Father Thomas Keating has put it, and really come to the direct experience of the divine. So in a way, it's like being born again to a higher level of consciousness, being responsible for our own lives and getting out of our former victim mentality. And this is, of course, a huge thing to happen, but it has its price because going through it is very hard, painful, and brings about a lot of suffering until we can let go of our egoic needs. So I hope that this take on the dark night is helpful for you. If you like it, give me a thumbs up, perhaps even subscribe to this channel. And next time we will dive into the dark night of the spirit, and I will be happy to see you again then. Thank you so much, my friends. Bye-bye.